Mina, here we go.
Ooh,
Oh my
I look like I'm
goodness.
ready for
The church,
Halloween.
yes. Are you ready for Halloween?
Um, I have all the crates out. It's just a matter of putting everything up.
And it's a great time, but we're not going to talk about Halloween in the church because that doesn't work. I mean, we are going to talk about the church, but not Halloween. Our topic today is the role of the church, morality, marriage, and sex bans in the Georgian era. All right, so marriage as a religious duty. How central was the Church of England in regulating marriage during the Georgian period?
It tried to be very tough. There for a while, prior to the Georgian era, um, people were starting to kind of gravitate away from church marriages, and they could go to Gretna Green. They could go to Foundling or prison. The prison. They could go to the prison and get married. Um, and the church wasn't too happy about that. And why do you think that would be?
Because then they don't get their tithing and stuff, right?
Right. They don't get their money. So they passed a thing that you had to go through these bands, BANNS, and you would go to the church, fill out this document saying that you were going to get married, and you had to from the time the last band was read, you had to get married within 21 days, or they had to start the process again. Anyway, there was 3 weeks of bands, and they would excuse me, they would announce the betrothed to the congregation every Sunday. And if the the bride to be went to a different church than the groom, then they had to be read in both churches, which means they both had to be paid. So after 3 weeks, then they could get married. Now, when they went and got married, the priest had to be paid again. So they made quite a tidy little sum off of a wedding.
Totally. So you talked about, as you said, the bands of marriage before.
Right.
Why are they so important preventing secret or unsuitable matches?
Well, they were certainly not very convenient for those wanting to have a secret marriage. If they were so intent on a secret marriage, they could have gone and bought a special license, and that's only if they were high aristocracy or high merchant that had paid a lot of money into the church, because those had to be signed off by the archbishop. You couldn't get one from the local preacher. And so, if they were wanting to have a quiet wedding, they would either do that, or if they had to have bands read. I have not researched that to confirm what I'm going to say, but if the guy was high up enough, a duke, and was an associate or had a relationship with the archbishop, the archbishop probably could have read the 3 bands in his rooms, or and that way nobody heard him, and then they got married. I've not read that anywhere, but I know that the 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 public purpose for the bands was for anyone that objected to the wedding, or anyone that felt it was not a good match could step up and say, well, wait a minute, she was engaged to me, or I know both of these people and they never get along.
All right. So basically, let's talk about clandestine marriages. Despite church law, how did elopements and clandestine marriages like those of Fleet Prison Chapel challenge the ecclesiastical authority?
Well, that's what I was, excuse me, that's what I was telling you about earlier. The people, if they wanted to get a quickie marriage, all they had to do is go to the prison, the fleet, and the warden, I know, the warden would marry you for a couple of dollars, a couple of pounds, for 2 pounds.
Oh my God.
And it cost a lot more than that to have the banns read and then have the minister marry you in the chapel
Oh
or the
goodness.
church.
Mhm.
So, and that's then the church got pissed off because so many people were going to do that. You know, for 2 pounds, 2 pounds could be a lot of money for a young and struggling couple. Um, and so they probably struggled to get the 2 pounds together, but they would get married by the warden. Um, the church didn't like that. Hey, that's 2 pounds that goes is supposed to go into our coffers.
100%.
So that's where they got really strict about these bans, and they did away with prison weddings. They got rid of those altogether. And a lot of times, couples that knew uh, the parent of the girl would not condone the wedding, they'd run off to Gretna Green and they do what they call over the anvil weddings because they didn't have like churches per se, but you could go into a blacksmith's shop, and he'd marry you right there over the anvil.
So
But
how, yeah.
it took like 4 days to get there. So if her parents or his parents or both parents went to fetch them, she was already ruined because she'd been on the road with him. So might as well get married.
So how did the church frame premarital sex, adultery, prostitution in its sermons and moral teachings?
Oh, well, I wasn't there.
Yeah, yes, you weren't there, but maybe you could have gone back and using a time machine.
I
But what about in your research?
Well, I have not read a whole lot about any specific style of sermons, but they're like everything else. Everybody's got a different style, you know. But the church did not condone premarital sex. Um, they encouraged large families, which is what we're doing today, actually, because our population in the United States is dwindling.
Yep.
Sad.
Yeah, you need farm workers. I'm just kidding. All right, so class and religion. Did the church apply the same moral standards to aristocrats as it did to the commoners?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Are you kidding? They knew which side their bread was buttered on, so to speak. Um, and if you're a naughty boy and you gave him 200 pounds, well, he's just a naughty boy. Yeah, no, the church.
Yeah,
You,
got it. I get it. How did the church's stance on morality and marriage in the Georgian era lay the groundwork for the stricter Victorian moral code to come?
oh, that was. Well, I think things got out of hand once again. And Queen Victoria, she came from a pretty rigid background herself. So she'd had it with all this carousing of the aristocracy and carousing of the commoners, and she wanted to put an end to it. I I would liken pre-Victorian era to our time today.
Mm, okay.
You know, kind of relaxed about everything.
All right. Best place to go, MinaValentine.com. Appreciate it, Mina.
Thank you.
A new book trailer coming out. We're going to have multiple book trailers
Yeah.
as we're kind of talking about those specific things. They'll be on YouTube. They'll be up on her website. Make sure you check out MinaValentine.com. Appreciate it.
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
All those places. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Okay.
All right.